We saw a picture of you guys on the bench together, and I don't. Were you actually on the bench during the game? And okay, that was a pregame thing.
No, I was sat up in the technical booth with the Freddie in the first half,
Okay.
Henry in the second half, and all the analysts. So, yeah.
Well, I guess then the question is, what's that experience been like? And had you done that before with the Sounders? And sort of like, I mean, that seems like a different level of intimacy than we're used to seeing.
Yeah, I did it last year, Montreal, the Montreal game. And yeah, it's great for me. I really enjoy it. I love to see how things operate. You don't get to do that a lot as a club coach because everyone, pretty protective. But this has been an amazing, relationship for a while. To be honest, it just got formalised last year. So that was the second time I've done it. I was a bit more sat back this last game, just watching. But Freddie and Henry asked me my opinion, and if I have one, I'll give it. Sometimes I don't. Most of the time I do. So it's fun. I really enjoy it.
The draw. Remember, Montreal was 5-0. So I tried to recreate some of that as we were walking out, and it didn't work this time. We didn't score any. So there you go.
Clean sheets, though. That's my thing. Clean sheets.
Yes, that was important.
Jose.
Brian, you jokingly mentioned that you guys are now a one together team, but there is a lot of power in the value that having the Sounders throw their weight behind the brand that is the Reign. How do you see this benefiting the club, not only short term but long term? And Laura, that question for you as well. What are some of the resources that you feel that you may now be getting from the ownership group as it pertains to not only development but game experience and also technical advice that you may be able to share with the coaching staff from the other side of the team?
I can answer the first one maybe best from a Seattleite perspective, maybe. Because, look, the Sounders are a big deal. The Reign, the women's organization, the women's football, it's growing like crazy. So it seems like a pretty natural fit. What do I enjoy about that partnership, being a fan? It just brings two quality organizations together under one umbrella, so that you can, have interactions like Laura was talking about. Some of her assistants have come over. She has reciprocated as well. We can go over there anytime. We can learn new things. So I think as a fan, as a guy from the city, I think it just makes perfect sense. I think the collaboration of both organizations will push us in some ways, because they do a lot of good things, we do a lot of good things, but what are our weak spots? Maybe there's something there that we can take and vice versa. And then on the field, I mean, maybe we can start a friendly competition, weekly bets, something, I don't know,
Now we're talking.
Yeah, so it's all around, it's a good thing.
Yeah, I think I lived it a little bit when I worked at Utah with RSL, and like Craig Weibel was there, so we've lived it a little bit together. And I think that the greatest part about it, and I don't want to embarrass people in the room, but we don't get treated like lesser than, which is so important for this to function and work the way everybody wants it to. We legitimately get treated like equals, and that's in every capacity, like how we speak to each other, how we talk about the game, from a coaching perspective. It's not like I'm sitting in the room and I'm in the background and no one wants to listen to my opinion. If they want me to, talk, then it's an open forum, and vice versa. So I think, to Brian's point, we can push each other in a really positive way, because these guys have known for a long, long time how to win games in this city, how to get fans out to games. And that's something that we want to learn everything about, so that we can push our club forward even more. But the way to be able to work together is everything, on the field, off the field, just generally the culture of both teams and how we can influence each other in a really positive way.
All right, down to the front row. We'll go to Andy, then Nico. first for Brian, you guys have both been coaches in the city for a long time. Mentioned that this is a relationship that's existed for a while, but hasn't been as formalized as this is. Just kind of what is your history with Laura and with the Reign, and Laura vice versa?
Say that one more time. What is the
history of your guys'
history?
relationship?
Well, it's recent. I mean, obviously, I know who she is. I mean, she's famous. She's coached at Arsenal, the U20s, 23s. Do you ever bring up Birmingham?
Yeah,
I mean, where you
don't. I was very young then.
Very young, but she's obviously one of the well-known, best coaches in the women's side of our sport. And so did I always pay attention? Yeah, I did. Results, stuff like that. But was I really hands-on? No. Now that gives me a chance to do that, to going to a game a season, going to Megan's farewell game and other games throughout the years, yes. But it was never as intimate now as, hopefully at some point, when things really come together and maybe they're in this building at some point in time, then it's just a quick walk down the hall if I need anything.
And vice versa. I think that's the coolest part about it is football's football, and I think when we all just sit in a room and we talk about it, we all see things in different ways, but in a very similar platform that you're all trying to do the same things in maybe tweaks and things may look a little bit different at times. But I think the relationship, as again, like Brian said, it hasn't necessarily been formal, but I've always felt that there's been like welcome arms open to us, even like we did the double header in 21. I'd only been back at the club a couple of weeks at that point, and like that will be a day that sits with me for a long time, because you just saw the potential of what this opportunity could be. And we as a club were so happy that we were able to finally make it formal, because we know all the doors that it can open, and hopefully along the way we can reciprocate it the other way and make the Sounders even better than they've been in the past.
Definitely. And then Jordan talked a lot about that there's just more attention to detail, there's more hands-on, just more voices in the room now that this has all happened. You've been associated with the Reign for so long. I guess what are the biggest changes for you since the merger kind of happened?
Yeah, honestly, the biggest thing that was eye-opening to me, which I hadn't really thought about, was since 22, I'd never seen an owner. I'd never spoken to an owner. I'd never been interacting with ownership at any level, leadership of the club. So to have, Adrian's obviously sat in the room, and a leadership team that we can go to and bounce ideas off or speak about some concerns before they become big issues, for me has been the biggest change that I didn't really understand until it was back in front of me again, how important having that is, just to be able to really change the needle and move it the way we want to. You need to have the people in the room that can actually ultimately make that change. And unfortunately, we didn't have that for a while. So that's been the biggest thing for me. And then obviously just resources, people, staff, all of those things have really made a really short, it's only been a short amount of time, but a real difference so quickly.
Brian is saying if he was only so lucky as to not On that note, Nico.
Give me a year. I'm joking.
Do whatever he likes.
He's been a good boss. We haven't always seen eye to eye, but he's been a good boss. He will be a good boss. It's fine.
We just spoke to Jesus. He seems to understand the rotations, early this year. But with the design of things, it kind of seems like Pedro, Jordan, Albert, and Jesus are three playing for maybe three spots in your starting squad. Is that the way you see it, or do you feel like eventually they'll all coexist together in your starting lineup?
You figured it out. So at the beginning of the year, when we talked about formations and lineups, it's always trying to put your players in the best possible positions to succeed, give them confidence, some of that stuff. Construction of the team, based on 4-2-3-1. You know, there was some doubt there that, you know, because of Pedro's injury history, Jesus was injured in that, you know, in that early camp with the U.S. Jordan and Albert were pretty steady, but we couldn't overcook them. We knew that there was going to be fixture congestion at the beginning of the year. So that was part of the reason why we kind of went in and had that rotation and made a decision to play with 3 center backs. Nothing's off the table yet. You guys asked me already, what's the final best starting 11? We haven't found that yet. You know, when Reed come back, Reed's going to start training next week, which is good news. We'll see how things go. When our schedule opens up a little bit, you know, then you might see a different formation with all 4 guys, or, you know, we might just keep rotating for a while.
Back there to Susie.
Nice outfit, Susie.
Thank you. Hi, Laura. The team has made a lot of moves in the off season, but also that started in like the summer window last year with so many moves. And what has it been like for you to have a full preseason with the full team to prepare for this year?
Yeah, it's been great. Coachella was brilliant for lots of reasons, but the team building, bonding stuff that when people come in halfway through a season, you just don't have the time to do, has been brilliant. Obviously, we've got a lot of young players, so seeing how they can fit together or making them interact with the older ones, you know, when you're in the same place for 12 days, you have to do that. Has been so rewarding. We've got a lot done, and we're chomping at the bit now to get going, honestly.
And Brian talked about the starting 11 and having options, and I feel like from the outside in, you could concoct many different starting lineups for the Reign this year because of the flexibility and versatility of all the players. And I'm just wondering, like, what is that? Do you think does for the team and does for you this season?
Yeah, I mean, we live in a world now in our league, thankfully, that it's a grind. You know, it is a grind. So we are going to need to be flexible. We are going to need depth, and there's no doubt. And you know me, I tend to change things a little bit, a lot, across every week to week. But the depth that we have means that, you know, it's the drop-off's not going to be massive no matter what we do. And hopefully, touch wood, we can keep everyone healthy, which really means competition for places, which challenges us in training every day to make the training environment a high standard so that their reward at the end of the week is that they're going in to start or come off the bench knowing that they've earned it because they've had to with the competition that we've got within the team.
Felipe, back to you.
Thank you, Alex. Coach Brian, reviewing the game against Cruz Azul, seemed like the Seattle Sounders, the team played at not on another level, but it adds something to it when they were being physical, when they were being intense. Against those teams, Mexican teams or big games, is this something that comes with your style of playing, or this is something that comes naturally from the players, or is the circumstances, and how to keep that age of the game throughout the league games?
It's a great question, Felipe. The competition, the quality of the competition, or your opponent, there were lots of things that went into that game the other night that raised it a little bit higher level than perhaps a normal MLS game. The competitions between Liga MX and MLS, I think they're good. I think they're interesting. Look, I enjoyed going down to Antigua. I enjoyed Guatemala. I thought those games add something. It motivates the players to do a good job. They're always in tune because they're playing against a new opponent, new players that they don't know, so they're into the game. And I think you heard some of the comments from Christian and Obed after the game. It was a learning moment for them, because Cruz Azul came in and they wanted to control tempo, and they wanted to make sure that they were doing everything they could to prevent us from getting into any sort of rhythm and any sort of, you know, flow of how we wanted to play. And so what I hope for is that young Obed takes some of those lessons, and some of the guys like Christian and Jackson and Yaimar and some of those guys, you know, implement that certainly in our MLS play, because, you know, we need a couple of results, and we have a tough team coming tomorrow, a rival coming tomorrow.
Go ahead.
Coach George from Sounderscast. So the Sounders had their 50th anniversary last year. Microsoft is having their 50th anniversary this year. And Microsoft traditionally had a lot of connections to the Sounders. First sponsor, Ravi being the sports science guy, the ownership group. So my question is, as a Seattle person, how do you see the evolution of Seattle and Microsoft and the Sounders kind of side by side? And the question for both you and Laura, was there something in the usage of metrics and technology that you found interesting on the other team when you started collaborating?
Between the two franchises?
Yes, if there's any usage of metrics that surprised you.
The video guys from both sides have spoken. I'm not the expert on that, and I'm sure Adam and the fitness performance staff at the Reign have had some interactions together. I don't know how formal that is. Maybe you can shed some light on that. I love that you brought up Ravi Ravameni, Microsoft guy. We loved Ravi when he was here. Super smart, intelligent guy, loves soccer. Xbox was a fantastic jersey. I mean, it was a fantastic jersey. As far as 50 years are concerned, I mean, look, Microsoft is a multi-billion-dollar company that was grown here in the United States. We are a very big soccer franchise that has been here, that has been developed here. Our growth throughout 50 years has been, through the ups and downs of professional soccer in our country. But right now, we're on a total growth moment. Adding the women's team is another step in that direction. The Club World Cup is another growth moment. We get to play against PSG, Botafogo, and Atletico. And then you fast forward one more year, and 2026 is coming with the World Cup. I mean, you're seeing our sport grow. Maybe we're not going to get to, Microsoft numbers, but we certainly are proud of both organizations or enterprises at both companies.
All right, we'll take a few follow-ups. Andy, go down to you first, and then over to Jeremiah.
Real quick for Laura, you mentioned just kind of the added resources that you guys hear. What are some of those resources that maybe weren't accessible to you guys before?
People is the first one. We've built out our staff. We've added another coach in Lee Wynn, which I'm sure everyone saw. Our performance staff has grown from 1 to 3. We've got a full-time video analyst for the first time. We've got more medical people than we've had before. So just people has been the biggest thing. And then secondly, like Brian just touched on it then, like interacting with the person in your job on the opposite side of the aisle, if you like. Just being able to bounce ideas off. I come and sit in the coach's room and chat soccer with these guys, and I know the performance staff have met each other and medical staff, and that will be something that evolves over time. But just that alone is massive. But the biggest difference has been people, has been the first thing.
You mentioned there the medical staff. Do you feel like these added resources are going to be able to help you guys stay healthier this year?
I hope so. Yeah, I mean, things happen, which unfortunately in the sport you can't do too much about sometimes. Excuse me, but yeah, I think that's always the aim, right? It's preventative stuff more than it's solving after the fact. So I think we've done a good job of that. I think last year was really challenging. But yeah, I'm confident that we're in a good flow right now. We've got a good rhythm going with the group. We're very different schedule to the Sounders, where our players have negotiated a CBA that we don't have to play midweek. So that makes it great. But we still have to deal with all the travel and everything else. So we're hoping that not only can we keep people healthy, but we can push on to another level. I think that's another aim of ours, is if we can make people 1% better in every aspect, how they look after themselves, what they eat, how they sleep, how they train, and then obviously on the field it can impact. Great, makes it even better, and that's a high-performing environment that we want.
Jeremiah? Yeah, real quick, can you give it an update on Kim's status?
He'll be doing more training. There's no injury there, Jeremiah.
Right.
It's just building up his fitness. I mean, I would have loved to use him tomorrow. He'll get there. When we come back from Mexico, he should be in full training.
And then just speaking to LAFC, this game is you've mentioned they're a bogey team for you, but how big of a mental hurdle was it to get that win last year, and for that to be, I mean, does that help at all coming into this game, knowing that you won the last one?
Yeah, it certainly helped ease some of the pressure. I wish that would work somehow. We could figure out some way for RSL. We'll work on that for next year. But yeah, I mean, this game tomorrow, I think you're going to see an energetic team. You're going to see guys that might be afforded an opportunity because of fixture congestion, and those guys are excited to play. What do they bring? You know, they're in the middle of fixture congestion, but they might have a easier, bigger cushion than us, but going to Columbus isn't going to be easy. There's lots of storylines surrounding the two, but I'm looking forward to it. I think Greg does a good job, but you know, we're excited as well for the match, and hopefully we can get a good result.
Jose, close us out.
Brian, one of the things that you've impressed on us throughout this young season has been the health and the fitness of your club. And you guys have been able to leverage technology and rely heavily on some of those metrics that are necessary for you guys to understand the bodies and the state of mind of your players. Can you tell us a little bit more about how you, from a coaching standpoint, have developed a coexistence with such an interesting take on sports? And obviously it's proven, but it has evolved over the last few years, and I think it would be interesting for us to learn how you take that from, you spoke about grit as it pertains to other clubs, how you marry those two particular things and utilize those to your advantage.
Well, I think, Jose, in any successful organization, you take different people with different skill sets and blend them together to get a result. What are my skill sets? What are Chris Cornish's skill sets? What is Preki, Andy, Tommy, and Freddie's skill sets? You know, what does Adam Santafani bring? What does Megan bring in the strength room? I think it's a joint effort. I think we all kind of come together and we are all good at our jobs. I think that's one of the things that excites me about the organization and the direction that it's heading. The performance staff that we have is great. They're adding people. There will be, you know, discussions, dialogue to push them, they push us. I think all of that comes down to just running a healthy organization from top to bottom. You need to give people opportunities to bring ideas to the table. You need to let guys go to different seminars, learn things, you know, go have conversations at conferences and stuff. They bring them back to me. And then I have to be open-minded enough, because I am a little old and set in my ways in some certain areas about the grit and determination and the never quit. But you have to keep an open mind because the sport of soccer has grown. You know, you mentioned Ravi. I think he was the first. We were the first team to really lean heavily on data to make our team a better team. And for me, that was natural, because when Ravi came in, he was a good person. He loved working for the organization, and he was very smart. And so we have a bunch of talented people that work for us, and you see the outcome of all that on a Saturday or a Wednesday or, you know, whatever day we play.